there have now been well over 100 million near-death experiences that have been recorded, and all of them have something in common. How could 100 million people have the same experience or similar experience or some things that are exactly the same and it not be something credible? So for me personally, I've studied well over 2,000 NDEs. I'm probably getting up to more closer to like 3,000 NDEs. And I know personally, in my opinion, because I have also experienced my experience, and now I experienced my experience in 1998, August of 1998. And I didn't know that there were others out there. And when I found NDEs and I started studying them, one of the biggest things that I can say about NDEs is the only way these people could describe what they're describing is if they've seen the same thing that I've seen. And every single NDE that I've studied, there's something in their NDE that is exactly like mine. And there wasn't internet in 98. And there wasn't a way for you to spread that message. In fact, I didn't even know how to put my experience in human words at that time. I just didn't even know how to explain it. It was so mind-blowing. And when I first started studying, which now is close to probably 4 years ago, and I started hearing these people's experiences, none of these people know each other. All these people are scattered all over the entire globe. They know nothing about each other or each other's experience. So to be able to come out and say, this is what happened, that is what happened, this is what I saw, and it's exactly like the next person that they've never met or never talked to, or, you know, a person completely across the globe that knows nothing about these people or even NDEs, some people speaking about them for the very first time and had never seen an NDE or video or any type of proof of it, they can still explain their experience. And every single NDE, there's multiple aspects when it's explained. It's the exact same experience. It's the exact same colors they see. It's the exact same feeling that they feel. So in my personal opinion, there is no way, because I actually read an article yesterday, and in this article, it said that there have now been well over 100 million near-death experiences, 100 million near-death experiences that have been recorded, and all of them have something in common. How could 100 million people have the same experience or similar experience or some things that are exactly the same and it not be something credible? When they see the colors there, the flowers, the trees, the grass, the light beings, the feeling of this immense feeling of unconditional love, and even putting the word, and all of them will say this, even just saying the word unconditional love does not even touch the feeling of what it feels like when you're there. You know, this is another thing that they say, I knew I was home. I knew I was home. I knew that was home. And every single NDE person out there says, I knew that this was home. They say, this here is not real. This isn't reality. That is actually reality. They all say these same things, like the colors of the flowers and the trees and the grass. It's colors that don't even exist in our color spectrum here on Earth. And it isn't. You can't even mix colors together here to make the colors that you see on the other side. and everybody sees it in their experience. Everybody sees the colors. Everybody sees the how it glows, this certain glow, where it's just so much more real there than it is here. In fact, I just did an interview last night with this beautiful Jamaican lady. Oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. And in her experience, she was able to see certain things like tsunamis. And then the tsunamis came. And when she explained this to her family is a diehard Christian family. They began to not want to communicate with her anymore because they started feeling like maybe she had some sort of dark entity that was part of her life that was giving her this information. And it wasn't until she's won her family over now where they understand that, it's not what they thought it was. And now she's very welcomed in her family. She even still goes to church on Sunday, not every single Sunday, but she'll go with her family about once a month and just love on everybody there, because once you taste that love, you just want every single person on the face of the earth to just have one little tiny taste of it, because if they did, they would be instantly changed. That's another thing. Every single person that goes to the other side, when they come back, they're instantly changed. Whatever job profession they have, they end up leaving and going into something that more gears towards love and bringing world peace. I think this is a great example. There's this NDE that's out there that you can find. I've watched so many that I can't tell you who she is now, but she rose up out of her body. She watched the surgery, or what, or not surgery, but she watched once her body, her heart stopped beating, and they're doing what they have to do to try to revive her. She rose up out of her body. She ended up rising up out of the building, and this hospital was like a 6-story building hospital. She's on like the 3rd floor. And she knew on the 6th floor that right outside one of the windows was this red shoe. So when she was telling the doctors, I'm telling you, I was outside my body, I was watching you revive me. In fact, when I left the building, if you go up to like the 6th floor right now, you'll see that there's a red shoe on the outside of the window, on the window ledge of the hospital. And they went up there and looked, and sure enough, that red shoe is there. If you Google the NDE with the red shoe, that will bring up the video for you to be able to watch. But there's so many NDEs, like as an example, like I know personally for me, I don't know the names of all the things that they use to try to revive you. I don't know the names of those things, but there's been many NDEs that have said the same thing. They rose up out of their body. This is going to be another example. She said that she saw them working on her, trying to revive her. She went out of the room. So now she's not even in the same room. She went out of the room in spirit form, went out to the area where you would sit to wait for somebody, the waiting room where you're sitting and waiting. And she watched her dad buy a Snickers bar out of the candy machine. And she's in her spirit form. And she was like, wait a minute. I thought you weren't, she's saying this in her spirit form, I thought you weren't eating garbage like that anymore, Dad, and of course he can't hear her. But when they did revive her and they brought her back, and she started telling her family, yes, I rose up, and by the way, Dad, I saw you buying the Snicker bar out of the candy machine, and it was right on par. He could not believe that she, from another room, not even in the same area, it might have been the same floor, she watched her dad buy a candy bar out of the candy machine. It's certain situations like that. Like there's so many NDEs out there where they rise up out of their body. And there's another NDE out there where where the woman was able to rise up out of her body. She went into cardiac arrest or whatever, and they're trying to revive her. She rose up out of her body. She rose up out of the hospital. She decided she was going to go to her house where her kids were. She got there where her kids were, and she could see every single thing that her kids were doing. So when she got revived, she came out of the hospital. She began to speak about her experience. She was able to say, I went to the house and I saw you kids doing this, 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 and this. And the kids verify it. Yes, that's what I was doing. Like there's so many NDEs out there like that where they say this is what I saw. There's another one. Oh, my friend, the one Andrew that I want you to bring on, when he was dead, he saw that the man that was working on him, I believe in the ambulance, he had a bald head. You know how sometimes they'll have hair here, hair here, hair here, but right at the top of his skull, it's completely bald. Well, this guy had a big bald spot. So when he came out of his NDE, which he'll talk to you about, and he's now in the hospital because the ambulance brought him to the hospital, blah, blah. And he asked the nurse after he was, everything, he was brought back and all that stuff. He asked, where's the doctor that has the big bald spot on the top of his head? There's no way that he would have been able to see the bald spot on the top of the man's head. So she said, well, the nurse was like, I don't know who you're talking about, but I mean, I'll go bring the doctor in that was working on you. So that doctor walked in, and he said, take your bend your head down and let me see. And he was like, yep, that's him right there. That's the man. And the nurse or doctor was like, there's no way you could have known that. There's no way. There's another instance with this other woman that went into cardiac arrest and ended up having to be revived. And when they were reviving her, there was one of the doctors that had a pen in his pocket, and he bent over in the middle of doing the process of reviving her, and the pen fell down and went underneath her bed. So once she got revived, the first thing she wanted to do was tell the doctor, I just went to the other, she started to explain her experience. I can't remember her experience in detail. And she was like, and I saw that man take that machine that he put on my chest. I watched the whole thing. And then she was like, and by the way, that pen that was in your pocket, it's underneath my bed right now. And they look under, and there's the pen that was in his pocket. There's no way they would have been able to, being clinically dead, that you would have been able to see something like that. So, I mean, they're coming to mind as I'm thinking back, but I think that's a pretty good amount of amount of stories that I've given you to tell you that when these people come out, they see things that they could not possibly see being not clinically alive. They're clinically dead. Close to 100% of the people that have had near-death experiences, they come back and they're here now to be the change. Not just to talk about change, but to be the change. And regardless of whether your experience is hellish or heavenly, you come back and you're changed. You're never the same again. And all you want to do is love people. You want to be good. You want to stand for what's right. Everybody comes back with the same mission. It's about your eyes being opened where you actually can see. Well, see, it's not necessarily that they did something wrong, okay? It's more of seeing how you affect other people, because they don't generally. So I can say personally for me, I was connected to the other side as far back as I was 3 years old. So I knew the other side and have always known the other side. Like I said earlier, there's over 100 million people on this earth, and I understand there's 8 billion people, it probably is more than that, but that's about all that has come forward and said they had a near-death experience and went to the other side. If 100 million people that do not know each other, never met, and have no clue that the other person has had a near-death experience, has had an experience where they've went to the other side after dying, I think that in itself is a huge, huge witness to that, to we don't die, we continue to go on. You know, just the paranormal experiences, all the people that have never had near-death experiences, but yet they have visitations from their dead grandma, their dead husband, their dead wife, and they have actual experiences in this human being alive experience where they see and experience their loved ones on the other side. Well, if we die and we cease to exist, how do we have loved ones showing up from the other side? Paranormal experiences, things flying off shelves and apparitions, people seeing silhouettes of, where are those? They're obviously in another realm. This cannot be all there is. And this is stuff that's been going on for all of existence of what we have records to, although we don't have records to things that, because the earth is, you know, well over 3 billion, you know, I think earth has always been here, but I think that we only are able to make records to a certain extent. But through all of history, everything that we're talking about that is being spoken about is proof showing that there's something on the other side, that there's something more than this, that we do not cease to exist. There's just too much evidence out there. There's more evidence worldwide, history-wise, uh, you know, throughout all of history that proves that there's something beyond this, that goes beyond this.